Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Gymwright Live. I am your host, Marcus Gursey, and today on Gymwright Live, we interview Justin Ross, the visionary and creative behind Monkey Reel Media. They are a video marketing agency that specializes in working with gyms and creating rich content for them to use for their social and to help them grow their business. Today, we're going to be teaching you guys how to create amazing featured athlete videos for your gym with very little to no equipment and or creative talent for that matter. I'll also be explaining the best ways to use featured athlete videos in your marketing, retention, and upselling strategies as well. Now, if you are watching the show right now and you do not see the little red light up in the top corner of the screen, then you are watching the replay. So the first thing I want you to do is type the word join in the comments below so you can get access to two really awesome things. Number one, this will get you access to the network, which is our free private Facebook group for the motivated gym owners of the world, where you can find tons of great conversations, interviews, and step-by-step how-tos of some of the most effective strategies out there for gym owners today. You'll get your free 2019 gym sales and marketing planner, and you can also be a part of our interactive gym marketing exercise that's just getting started. There's a ton of great free resources in there for you, so just go ahead and type join below and get into that group. Number two, this will also get you weekly reminders of when we go live for this show so that you never miss a lesson. All right, so again, just type the word join and you'll get an invite into our group and notifications when we go live for the show. All right, let's get this party started. Let's do this. All right. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Gymwright Live. I'm your host, Marcus Gursey. And with me today, we have the one and only Mr. Justin Ross. What's going on, Justin?
How's it going, Marcus?
Pleasure to have you on again. You were brought back by popular demand, not because I wanted to have you on here, but because you are brought up so often in our group because creating really good media for your gym isn't as easy as it sounds. And a lot of people have, they try to shoot their own stuff and edit their own stuff because they know they want to create good videos for their social media or highlighting gym owners and all that, or gym members. And it's harder than it looks, right? And you have created a company, Monkey Reel Media, where you actually specialize in helping gym owners create this content without having to fly in a crew or have any even fancy equipment necessarily. And you act basically as an outsourced production house and creative team, right? To help them create killer content that they can then send to you remotely. You send it back as a finished product, and it looks like they had a full team and everyone there creating this stuff. So welcome back to the show. So good to have you on, Justin.
Thank you for the opportunity. Always a pleasure.
Awesome. So for those who don't know you, would you mind telling the gym owners listening a little bit about yourself and how you even got into video creation for gyms?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the film production world for many years. And at one point in time, I was actually a part owner of a gym. Mm-hmm. So I was definitely in the trenches and, going through all the ups and downs of marketing and client retention and all the fun operational stuff. But obviously content was my forte, and that's what I could bring to the table. And coming up with not just the general promo that lives on your website and, eventually has an expiration date because, half of the people in there are not members anymore, or, you've just kind of used it tirelessly in all of your marketing efforts. So I was, along the way, finding creative ways to incorporate video, be it for marketing purposes or client retention or operational purposes, a welcome video for new members, just things that can ultimately help your process of marketing and just connecting to viewers and just spreading your reach. So, and especially as platforms have grown over the years, finding ways to optimize this type of video content for each platform. Mm-hmm. So it kind of spawned from there, founded Monkey Reel Media going on almost 5 years now. And it started working with a handful of gyms in the area, just kind of they didn't have necessarily the marketing budget to bring in a full production crew. That wasn't realistic to have video on a consistent basis. So, we found a way to kind of package and come up with a content game plan for them so they know the types of videos that they should be capturing. We know that with simple and effective tips, you can capture content on things like your smartphone. There's a lot of other camera accessories out there now too. And then ultimately taking the most time consuming part of making videos off of their hands, which was the editing. And that's really where the storytelling comes into play, and where, how you can effectively keep somebody locked onto your video in the first 5 seconds through the end of the piece. So, we kind of founded this service just based on those things, and it's grown exponentially since then.
Yeah, I remember we had you guys on Barbell Business a few years back, and that was, I think, right when you guys were first coming on the scene.
Yeah.
And it just kind of caught fire because what you guys are doing is so unique in that it's outsourced, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you're hiring your local video guy to come in and do the whole deal, and you're paying thousands of dollars sometimes for just a couple of videos. And in your case, gym owners can basically sign up for a monthly service and get X amount of videos depending on the size of the package that they go with, and can now crank out really good videos. So whether it's testimonial videos, promo videos, coaches bio videos, you name it, getting started videos. You guys have a whole slew of kind of like industry templates or standards, if you will, that you guys have now created. I couldn't even count how many clients we have that work with you or have worked with you that are just, huge fans of it. And today we're going to be talking specifically about something that we're seeing trend in a really big way, and that's the featured athlete video. Now, just to clarify to everyone out there, when I say featured athlete video, I'm not talking about your traditional testimonial, like, hey, meet Steve, Steve lost weight, now he's happier, and that's it. We're talking about that video, or that what used to be the article, right, where and this is kind of like either the weekly or the monthly or quarterly featured member, where you're showcasing your member to the existing community, but it also doubles out to the community at large as kind of like another version of social proof. And it's a lot of people are familiar with that. It kind of all started with like that old school kind of Q&A where it's like, hey, what's your favorite WOD? What's your favorite cheat meal? And they would kind of do that traditional kind of Q&A format, kind of copy and paste it. That was interesting. And then it evolved to people doing like full blown write-ups, like full journalism style with, inline images and telling their story. And this is when I played soccer before I started CrossFit. And, those got really popular. That's what we did at Active. That was at the time still like a brand new thing and really well received because it makes people look like a celebrity, right? We as adults don't really get, I think, showcased or like get our story told in a way that makes us look and feel cool in front of other people very much at all, right? And so it was an opportunity for us to do that, and really had a massive impact on retention, for marketing, lead generation, all that. And now, given kind of the ongoing evolution, it is now everything is shifting to rich media, video content. So there are gyms now starting to do these featured write-ups or these featured content pieces via video, and they are just, they're going viral in some cases. I know that some of our clients who've worked with you, you've put out some videos, and we're going to showcase one here in a minute. This one went viral and had like over 500,000 views. This is a local gym, guys. This isn't something that's like being published on a main channel. This was one of our gyms, CrossFit Rife, Jason Fernandez, this is just a story of a member that he highlighted, and it went totally viral. And this is not the first time that's happened either, right? You've had this actually happen more than once, and these get shared quite often. So, so why don't we go ahead and just share that real quick so people can get an idea of what we're even talking about. And then we'll kind of break down how to do it and tips and different variations and all that stuff too. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, rock and roll. Let's do this. Let's see if I can get this thing to work live. Stand by.
I'm Jake. I'm 27. I've been in the Navy for 8 years. I've been an EOD tech for 6. I came in straight to boot camp to EOD school. Was born in Texas and lived everywhere, dad being in the military as well. Joined the Navy out of Maryland. So I showed up to Mobile Unit 6 in 2011. Did a 10-month workup, and then left for Afghanistan in May 2012. Came back December 2012. Immediately jumped over to a Ranger support platoon. Did an 8-month workup with them. November 17th, 2013, my parachute collapsed at around 300 feet. It's my 325th jump. Best guess is I was trying to make my final turn at 300 feet. Left side collapsed. The rest of the parachute followed, and there wasn't enough altitude for it to reinflate and put me down on the ground softly. When I hit the ground, I broke my right fibula, my left tibia, had a high ankle sprain on my left side, broke my left femur, broke my pelvis in 2 places in the front, and I broke my sacrum vertically on the left side. My left kidney was torn away from my aorta, my right kidney was heavily lacerated. I had a pseudoaneurysm in my descending aorta about the size of a tennis ball. I had 3 cardiac arrests from bleeding out through the pseudoaneurysm. And I had pretty severe brain bleeds resulting in TBI and some vision loss. The cardiovascular surgeons, the orthopedic surgeons, they all told my parents the exact same thing. The reason that I had survived was that I was in such good shape and that I was young. There's no doubt in my mind that the 3 months leading up to my accident, I was in the best shape of my life. And I think that kind of hurts the most because of where I was at in my physical training and my weightlifting and my CrossFit exercises, that to be almost at my peak and then lose all of it. I've had 17 surgeries. As of right now, I have a titanium rod inside of my femur with screws at the bottom of the top. I've got 2 stents in my aorta, and I had a screw through my pelvis. It was taken out. For the most part, my fractures have healed. My sacrum has a fibrous non-union, so it never healed back together the way it was supposed to. Because of that, I've developed a little bit of scoliosis in my spine, which is a constant fight for me to get my spine in proper alignment and move through the exercises the best way that I can. I didn't stand up on my own after my accident for almost a month and a half. The first time I walked was with a walker, and I walked 15 feet from my bed in my room to the door and back, and it took me the better part of an hour to complete that task. And it went from having the walker every day, spending most of the day in the hospital bed or in a wheelchair, to trying to walk more in a walker. Finally got the pelvic fixator taken out, and I was able to walk with crutches. Spent a lot of time on crutches and in a wheelchair. Finally ditched the wheelchair and went to just a cane. Physical therapy got me to a point where I didn't need the cane every day. I might have needed it on rough days or hard mornings, but now I'm at a point where I don't use the cane at all. After spending the better part of 3 years, multiple times a week, with physical therapists and physical therapy assistants, it was a second community for me that I felt like I belonged to. And it was absolutely a surprise, not something I expected. About a year before getting out of the Navy, I realized that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a physical therapist. And so the 3-4 year plan for me right now is to get a bachelor's degree in exercise science or pre-physical therapy, something that will cover most of the prerequisites for my doctorate program in physical therapy. Then use my GI Bill to pay for my doctorate program, and then 10-year goal is open a CrossFit gym as a DPT and helping vets and civilians alike. I definitely feel like CrossFit Rife is another home. It's a really tight-knit, close community of friends. I work with a lot of the guys that come here. I work with a lot of the guys' girlfriends that come here, and it's having that close-knit community of friends to help motivate you and keep moving and push through workouts that I probably wouldn't do on my own, at least not as intense. I know for me, one of my motivators is watching some of the guys who are at the level that I was at, or at the level that I would be at had I not gotten hurt. And it's a little painful to watch, but it also motivates me because that's where I want to get back to. And if I fall a little short from that, I think that'll be okay.
Wow, man. That was incredible.
Powerful story.
Yeah, an incredible story and really well put together. I particularly like what you guys did with the integration of still images and not just the direct interview, right? But pulling in the B-roll and then the still images to kind of to visually showcase the story. Yeah, man, incredible. I mean, perfect example of, just a super powerful way to showcase an existing member's story to the peers so that everyone else knows the story, and also is a great piece of content for the gym to use for outward marketing, right? Because you can say, hey, we're so proud of, featuring Jake and, being our featured member this month. Your story is incredible. For those of you who don't know, check this out and so on. And you put that on a public page, and not only was it rolled out via the newsletter to the existing members so that they can all cheer him on and get to know him better, but now it's something that's on the public page that person, because it's so well done, they're likely to share it out through their social channels. And now that people are going to see that, be like, your gym put this together for you? This is insane. My gym doesn't even clean the toilets. And your gym did this like full on feature video on you. Just incredibly powerful.
Very much so. And testament to the story being king there, you've got a 5-minute video that kind of goes against like, oh, it's got to be super short. And yes, we do overall tend to condone 1 to 2 minute video content, but if a story is that powerful, people are going to watch it to the 5-minute mark. I mean, I think that got almost 600,000 views. It got shared by CrossFit. So it's testament to the story too, and being able to share that and people making that human connection. That type of content is what you're going to see trending most on platforms like Facebook, Instagram. Like, people love those heart and soul, like docu-style kind of approach where you can incorporate some photos and videos and stuff that makes it a little more personal.
Yeah, 100%. And as a gym, showcasing your members' stories. I mean, we have this huge pool of people who have come from all different walks of life and have so many incredible, unique things about them and their stories. When you get to showcase these things, the members feel like they get to know each other better. It creates a more tight-knit community, which translates to better engagement, better retention, which is what one of the main things we can hope for, right? Aside from then lead generation, which this also contributes to, right? Because this is then on the front end. I mean, it turns your gym into this like special place that creates these stories or tells these stories. And at the end of the day, that's what we really could only hope for. And this is something you guys are doing for gyms all over. So, okay, so let's break down how to even approach doing something like this, right? Because obviously that was an incredible story. We may not all have something like that to start with. For someone watching this, let's break down, if they like, what kind of equipment do they need, to what are the kinds of questions that we want to ask to kind of prompt a good story. Like, how would someone go about doing this if, let's say, they had no equipment at all? How would you work with a client? Let's say if you were going to handle the editing piece, what would they have to do on their end?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, before even touching the equipment, is finding members of your gym that you really want to identify, that's going to really represent your ideal target client, right? So, and obviously having a good story behind them as well. So being conscious about, who you can approach, who's going to be comfortable, obviously, but who they represent, their background stories. So kind of doing that kind of what we call pre-production digging beforehand. Once you identify, then it's just setting up the production. And this is kind of standard interview setup. It's going to be very applicable to a lot of the types of videos that you're going to make beyond that. So once you kind of get this down, it's what I always tell our clients, becomes second nature. It's just like, this is going to be your go-to setup. You have a few areas of your gym that are going to look best as backgrounds, and that's, going to be a simple setup from thereafter. So, getting started, absolutely your smartphone, which is probably what 95% or more of the gym clients that we work with use, is perfectly suitable for content like this. Adding in very basic elements like a tripod. These are things you could pick up on Amazon. Tripod for your smartphone, 100% we absolutely condone using a lav mic, especially in your average gym setting where it's in a big, converted warehouse or just stuff where there's going to be noise bouncing around everywhere. Just having a directional audio source is huge, because if you use your smartphone, you're relying on the smartphone's internal mic, which just picks up everything.
Right.
So lav is a little more directional. So I would say at the very least, a lav mic and a tripod so you have something steady to hold your camera. Things that you can kind of go without getting supplemental gear like lights would be just being in a good area of light source. So you've got some natural light coming from some windows. Like I'm using natural light right now. It looks like you are as well. So natural light's any camera's best friend. So, just being conscious that you're not in a dark corner that's, going to look weird and scary on your member. Beyond that, yes, there are resources for basic 3-piece light kits you can pick up on Amazon for like $100, and it does go a long way, and it mimics natural light. So those elements alone, I would say, would get you through any type of video content you could put together. But beyond that, it's choosing your background. So essentially, we're going to look for an area of your gym that shows some characteristic. It also provides a little bit of depth. You're not going to want to position your client in, like leaning up against a wall, because that creates kind of a flat one-dimensional look. Create some depth. So I usually say go towards the center of your gym, right? Because that's going to provide some nice depth behind them. Something in the background that's good to position is maybe a training cage or a kettlebell rack. Just something that kind of gives the viewer essentially a little glimpse into what your gym looks like. Mm-hmm. I would never use just one background for all of your interviews or all your videos. Mix it up. Pick a couple different areas and let those be your go-to places for your video content. Beyond that, setting up your camera, I would always position it to where we have kind of a medium shot. So kind of middle of your client's waist to top of their head, leaving a little bit of room, a little bit of head space from the top of their head to the top of what you see in frame. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, positioning questions. So you don't want to some members are going to be comfortable talking directly to a camera. But if you're going to kind of streamline and keep the same aesthetic or look for all your videos, kind of setting it up where they're at a 45-degree angle to that camera. So not directly looking at center, but just to the left or just to the right. You can make it that much more comfortable for them in that it's kind of more conversation style if you sit in front of them. Always making sure you're eye level. So you're not going to be standing, they're going to be sitting, and you're going to be talking down to them because they're going to be looking up, answering the questions. So
got it. Good tip.
Eye level. Just like you would talk to them in the gym. You don't want to be talking down or up to somebody. Eye level makes them feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. So then just kind of positioning the questions. We have recommended questions that we usually ask, but because these are kind of member spotlight videos, we're going to focus more on their why, their background, what ultimately brought them there. The byproduct of this conversation is going to be the members, the gym, they're going to be naturally talking about the environment. We're not looking to exclusively focus on that. We're looking to get to know them, right? And so just positioning those questions on what brought them here. Why are you working out? What's driving you? What are any specific goals? How is, working out here or just being being fit or living a fit and healthy lifestyle? What's that done for you outside of the gym? Things like that.
Right.
Always prefacing the question, or having them preface the question in their response, so the viewer has context of what is being said in the video. So if you ask them what brought you, what drives you outside of the gym? Well, what drives me outside of the gym is my family, this, that. That way, they're not kind of coming from a weird angle and you don't know what they're talking about. So I'm trying to think for the interview process, aside from those major things. Don't worry. I always tell our clients, hit record, let it roll. Don't hit cut in between questions or you feel like you have to, it's easier to just let it roll and you don't have to worry about messing with the camera at all. And then you just cut out, the parts that you're not going to use in post-production, where you're just focusing on those best bites. That's we're looking to narrow this down to the best effective story for this person.
Yeah, and on the note of the questions, I think one of the most important things to remember is the whole point of this video or of the write-up, if you were previously doing a a write-up on the person, is to make them look and feel like a rock star in front of their peers. So everything that we're doing, the questions that we ask and the positioning of everything should be to showcase their story and to your fellow members and your community in a way that's going to make them look and feel as awesome as possible, right? So yes, we want to tell the story, like kind of the hero's journey of, before I started here, I used to play sports in college, and then next thing you know, I was married with kids and 30 pounds overweight. I was struggling to be motivated to go to the gym again, and then I came in, I did my intro with Justin, and I went out on a limb because it was more than I had ever spent on a gym, and then next thing you know, I'm 3 months in, I'd already lost the weight, plus now I realized I'd made all these friends, and then so on, right? And but do it all in a way to where it's going to make them look and feel really cool, right? It's not about making them just look like this person who's like, oh man, that's kind of a terrible story. And instead, always make sure it comes full circle in a way that's going to make them the hero in the video, right?
Sure.
Which, on that note, as far as like the structure, one thing that we teach our clients when we do these types of things, whether you're doing a write-up or a video, is taking a look at the different services that you offer, right? So if you have, let's take a traditional CrossFit style gym or CrossFit gym, we're going to have our base membership offering. This is going to be your bread and butter service, right? And usually it's what most people are using or what most people are on, right? And then if we're doing it correctly, we're going to have an upsell to either, let's say, a custom program or personal training or nutrition coaching or something like that. So what we guide them to do is to say, okay, well, if we're going to do a featured member every month, let's rotate through the different types of members that we have and say, okay, let's say January, we're going to feature a regular old member, right? We're going to tell their story, make them look and feel like a rock star. Great. February, we are now going to pick someone who has done our nutrition program and gotten great results. So now the story becomes, I was 3 months in and, I'd already lost the weight, but then my husband and I booked this vacation and I really wanted to look great on that vacation. I realized I hadn't gotten a hold of my nutrition, so I set up a nutrition consult with Coach Justin, and he laid out the plan for me, and we came up with a 6-month plan to my vacation. Not only did I lose the weight, but I looked better than I ever had, and I had a great time on my trip and so on. It's that whole arc, but it tells the story of your premium service. Well, if you're trying to sell a premium service, no better way to do it. There is no internal marketing campaign or landing page or anything like that is going to work as well as the social proof of one of your peers who's now accomplished what you want to accomplish happening in front of you. The people who are in those classes with her and they're like, wait a minute, didn't I do on-ramp with her? No wonder she looked so good. Or, man, didn't I start after she did? Or whatever it is, they're going to start thinking well, I want that. I want that hero story. And next thing you know, it's the same effect that the testimonials or good videos have on the front end to potential clients. It will have the same impact internally for your premium services to your current members. And just by being a little bit more strategic about what types of members you're selecting and making sure you have a balanced cadence as part of your plan can make a massive impact on your upsells across the board.
Absolutely. It's going to naturally start that conversation. They're going to, see the members that they see in their gym every day, and they're going to get to know their stories, and, they're going to be inspired, and that might push them to do something else, or try something based on what was mentioned in the video, nutrition programs, 100%. It's a nice natural way to position those conversations.
So we talked about the equipment setup. We talked about a general flow for the story that we want to capture and how to shoot it. Now, a big part of this is then integrating in B-roll and still images. Can you break down what B-roll is and what the person should be shooting for, how to pick what to shoot and all that? Any tips you would pass along?
Yeah. So B-roll is essentially the cutaway images or accompanying visuals to our interview. So it's not a talking head the whole time. We can, give the viewer context of, their story based on these other visuals. So it's going to be essentially the easiest thing to do is shoot in-house, them working out, interacting with other members, interacting with staff, being coached, right? Mm-hmm. Any kind of positive or motivating shots that you can capture along the way. I even encourage staging stuff like high fives, just things like that that you can incorporate into the video that makes it a little more positive and personal. What I always encourage is outside of what you can capture internally at your gym, feel free to encourage your member, if they're comfortable with it, to share some photos, maybe even video content, that stuff they might even have on their phone. Odds are, if they're comfortable enough to be positioned in an interview video like this, they're going to be totally open game to share a picture of like when they were an athlete in college, when they went through a weight gain period, or just a time in their life where they were just in kind of a rut. Them with their family, that makes it exponentially more personal, and it's going to give you that feel of what you saw in that video or what you see in a documentary, where we see that connection, and it just makes it more human, right? As opposed to like, this is a client testimonial, marketing driven video. So I absolutely condone asking them for those images. It goes a long way in videos like this.
Yeah, something we did that that helped us create way better content was we would shoot the interview and we would get the story, right? And it's like, I worked on my back squat, I played soccer in college, and I'm so proud of getting that first pull-up, right? Well, then after the interview, you'd say, great, now let's get some B-roll of you doing some back squats and you doing some pull-ups, and get that soccer picture or video, anything that you can send us as the B-roll. So just use whatever information they give you and say, great, what assets can we shoot and or you provide us that match the story? And there you have it. You don't have to plan it all in advance. You can just do the interview naturally, right? Let it just happen. And then after the shoot, say, here are the notes for that. Here are the things that would make this video awesome. Do you have any of these things? And if not, let's shoot those right now and load up a bar and do the thing. And now you've got something that's way more interesting to watch and looks like a really well-produced thing, which then you, for your clients, you pull it all together and produce it and make it look like it's a $5,000 production. And it wasn't even a huge undertaking in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I mean, elements like music, motion graphics, branding, using your logos, creating custom sequences in the beginning and the ending, and just ultimately finding those best bites from your interview to tell a compelling story. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into that, but all those pieces just kind of come together. Getting back to your note about being conscious of what they mentioned in the interview in terms of what you can capture in B-roll. That's why we always recommend, if possible, catch their interview, obviously when they're coming in for a class, right? So they're there already, setting up a convenient time for them. But if you can position it where it's like just before that class, then you can go into that class. Let's say they talked about, I never thought I'd be able to do a push-up before. Even if it's not in the programming that day, pull them aside and be like, hey, you mentioned you never thought you'd be able to do a push-up. Be super inspiring if we got you doing a push-up. So like, it's kind of using that, in the back of your head to position your B-roll.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so now we've got all the content shot. Now they would send it off to you, and then your team takes it and turns it into a piece of art, and you send it back, and now they're local celebrities. So, okay, so let's talk about now how someone can use this video. Okay, so for us and how we kind of teach this, typically we teach to do a featured member, let's say once a month, right? Let's say that's the cadence we go with. The way that we say to get the most bang for your buck is, for one, you should be doing a monthly newsletter at very least, right? So you have your monthly newsletter, and this is kind of the crown jewel of that newsletter, right? So embed do the screenshot of the player and have a teaser that links out to a page on your website where you actually have the video embedded, and and that's how you introduce it to your members. So that's going to, first of all, create way more interest and increase your open rate dramatically for your newsletter. A lot of people complain about, like, well, I don't do newsletters because no one opened it. Well, you're not putting anything interesting in there. But if you use the newsletter to roll out this video, and this is the only way they can get it at first, then you're going to get a lot of more people reading your newsletter and engaging with that. So that would be step one. But again, we're putting the video on let's say a blog post or a page on the website that has a little bit of supporting written content with it. And hopefully around that article, you should have some call to actions, like your free trial call to action or your refer a friend call to action. And that way, whether it's a member who sees it or it's someone outside who sees it, they are going to see these call to actions here because maybe they're now interested in taking action on one of these things. So that would be then the location. The next thing would be, okay, now that we rolled this out in our newsletter and we had all of our members seeing it, they're talking about it, I would wait about a day or two and then share that blog post or that page on your public social media page and tag the person. Hey, so proud to feature Justin this month as our featured member. You know, in case you guys haven't heard his story about his crazy shark attack thing, make sure you check it out here. And again, it's featuring it there, and then they click through, and now they're going to go to watch the video, and it's going to have, again, your call to actions. Well, the reason that's so powerful is that now your members are already consuming it, right? And then doing the shout out on the public page, on your public page, is going to show it to anyone who follows your page. And because you tagged that person, you created a piece of content that makes them look and feel like a rock star. The likelihood of them hitting share onto their public feed and accessing now their entire circle of influence is going to be about as high as it can get. So this is now a full-on win-win-win. Your members feel like they got to know someone better. The member feels like a celebrity for the month. The gym looks like, I mean, just you're a saint in the community, creating this kind of content, telling these kinds of stories for people relative to what most gyms do, right? And you now have access to their entire circle of influence in a way that you basically gave a testimonial showcasing their friend or family member or coworker. It's the best setup. It works so well. So if you're watching this and you're a gym owner, you're like, what do I do with this? Follow that and you will already see good success with it. So that said, you work with a variety of different kinds of gyms, and you aren't just kind of this like one size fits all thing. You come up with all sorts of different variations on these kinds of things that you had mentioned right before we got on live here today. Can you kind of tell us a little bit more about some other creative ways you're seeing people use these kinds of member highlights and, you know, featured member kind of things?
Absolutely. There are a number of other ways that you can be featuring your members, featuring your community outside of these kind of interview structured type of videos. Stuff that's a little more kind of what we call run and gun style, to where we can feature a number of different members in our video and still, you know, put out a really good story. So one that we do often with a lot of our clients is called What's My Why? Right? And that's very simply just going up to as many members as you can in and around the gym. It could be after a class. It doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be you're going to be conscious of your surroundings and that there's not a million people talking around you, but like, it doesn't need to be super, super polished. This is kind of like run and gun documentary style of holding up your phone or your camera, you know, hey, in one or two sentences, you know, what's your why? Why are you here? What's your reason for working out? You know, you get maybe 8 to 10 members conveying what their why is in one video. It's super powerful. And now you're seeing like a range of people from your gym, and they're just, you know, they're very simply telling you to the camera why they're there. So that's a popular one we do. Another one would be addressing FAQs, or even kind of like a what to expect from both your members' perspective and a staff or a gym owner, and kind of a back and forth cut. So I've been doing this video for a while now, and it always gets good engagement. It's essentially positioning the staff member or gym owner as giving the question, right? Or what's the common questions that you get? Do I need to be fit or ready to walk in the gym? Right? That's what probably everybody who is new to fitness is probably thinking before they step foot in CrossFit, right? I have to be in like phenomenal shape before I even walk in. Am I going to get injured? Like, you know, is everyone super competitive there? You know, do I need to eat something before I come to a workout? Right. Stuff like that, commonly asked questions. And then having the members who may have had those questions at some point or another, you know, and during the course of their time at your gym, having them give the response. And again, it's quick, succinct responses. We're not looking for a long dialogue. And that's why you always preface it to them of like, you know, hey, answer this commonly asked question in like 2 or 3 sentences. And you have like 5 or 6 of those key questions that you get in your gym all the time. It's great for new and prospective members. It's great for, you know, any number of places. You know, as you mentioned, having a strategy to get that mileage out of your content, purposing it for different platforms, newsletters, YouTube, Facebook, etc. So those types of videos, I would say, are effective in that you can put them together in a pretty time efficient way. You could feature a lot of your members in these types of videos, and it's showing off your community.
Love it, man. Let's see here. So what are some other like popular video styles or videos that you're seeing work really well for gyms that a gym owner could take and roll with right now?
I mean, the tips or tutorials, those are always kind of, those have been timeless. And what's great is you can use them as kind of like evergreen content. So you can put out, weekly fitness tips or nutritional tips, meal prep tips. These are common ones that we often create with gyms. Mm-hmm. You can put them out on a weekly basis. You can also package them and use them in like a lead magnet series or, build up a YouTube channel of just tips and guides. So those have been pretty timeless. We've been doing, taking advantage of B-roll that you accumulate, because we always recommend, even if you're not filming for a particular video, it's always good throughout a given week, just busting out your smartphone or your camera and just capturing what's going on in the gym. You never know what kind of inspiring moment is going to happen, and then you can have that as content for a future video. So what we do is we find opportunities to repurpose that content in things like quote videos. We'll take like 15, 30 seconds of like the best, range of different shots that you might have been able to capture and put like a super inspiring quote that like goes along with your message and, your ethos of your gym. So the quote videos have been really cool. It's kind of like what you see in like meme pictures or quote pictures, mm-hmm. But in an engaging video, with music and everything and your logo. So those have been really popular too.
Awesome, man. And you, will you, after the show is done, will you share a bunch of these different like types of videos and kind of examples for people in the comments so people can check it out?
Of course.
Awesome. Yep. Very good. Cool. All right, Justin, I think we've covered a ton of ground here today. Final question for the day. In one sentence, if you could give one piece of advice to a gym owner, what would that be?
Don't overthink it. Just start capturing content. I mean, people think you need to have like the absolute most perfect setup for everything, and otherwise you're not going to be able to approach it. Just go in. You've got your smartphone. Most have great cameras that are perfectly suitable for content like this. Mm-hmm. Just with simple and effective tips, just at least start capturing and getting comfortable with that process and get creative, because, you never know what you're able to capture. So don't overthink it. Just kind of dive in. Love it, man. Thank you very much. And where can people find more about you, Justin? Website, monkeyreelmedia.com. Reel is spelled REEL. Facebook, you can see a number of our examples there. Facebook, Monkey Reel Media, facebook.com/Monkey Reel Media. Instagram, we're at Monkey Reel Media. YouTube channel, you're going to find a lot of tips and tutorial videos and a lot of examples of the content that we're making for gyms. We've got some guides as well, that you can opt in for, simply by either emailing us at info@monkeyreelmedia.com or, on our website, there's a contact form. You can submit your information there. We have a, client testimonial video guide that has an accompanying PDF with it that offers, best ways to set up your videos, best questions that you can be asking your clients, and a number of other tips. And then we have a video gear guide in there as well, with simple things that I mentioned earlier that you can pick up on Amazon, add into filming with your smartphone. Makes a huge difference in the quality of your footage. Awesome, man. And then that's all totally free to download, right? Absolutely free. Yeah. So if you, like I said, if you enter your information either on our website or email us at info@monkeyreelmedia.com, we'll respond back with that information. Love it, man. Awesome. And for those watching this as well, you actually are, you're doing a complimentary video package for anyone who goes through our foundations program. It's actually one of the bonuses that we're offering at the moment. Right. And it has been so well received. Anyone who's done it has just been a raving fan of you, your process, your team, and obviously the output that you're doing. So thank you for that. And all right, so then all that said, Justin, thanks for joining us, man. So good to have you back on here. Well, I'm sure we'll have you on again here in the near future. And I want to thank all of you motivated gym owners out there for joining us today as well. If you are interested in getting free access to our private Facebook group, type the word join in the comments below so you can get access right away.
And this will also give you a reminder about any upcoming shows. And if you are interested in learning more about working with us, simply visit gymwright.com and register for a free strategy session. We'd love to get to know you, your story with the gym, and see how we can help you make this the best year yet. Thank you guys. Now get out there and build something that matters, and we'll see you guys again next week. Bye-bye.